Welcome to my views and news headlines. Firstly, Ethiopia Orthodox Church released a statement today about arrival of appointee bishop in Oromia, in Arsi, in East Arsi, Oromia. Appointee means the bishop from supplanter Oromia region-based Orthodox faction. The church is hinting at some tension between this appointee bishop and church workers, diocese workers in East Arsi. Secondly, we have Tigray Amhara border Wag Himora zone. We know that two districts of Wag Himora zone, Amhara region, are under the control of Tigray forces. Though Tigray forces withdrew from most parts of Amhara region last year, they had to retreat from southern Tigray too. But two are still under the control of Tigray forces. And thousands have been displaced from these two districts. Aid organizations have limited access to these two waredas, these two districts. Now, it is being claimed that Tigray forces might withdraw from these two districts in coming days. Thirdly, viewers, Eritrea, where Eritrean president says that a gold mine has come to a close. Its gold reserves have been exhausted. For the last 10 years, Eritrea has been producing gold from this mine. Question is, how much gold was produced? Where was it spent? Firstly, viewers, religious tension within Orthodox Church is far from over. Division is persisting. Though the three archbishops have returned to their ranks of archbishops, Abune Xenomorphos, Avostotios, and Sarios, and they say that they are part of the church. But the bishops appointed by them, whose appointments were rejected by the Holy Synod, are continuing their activities in Oromia. Orthodox Church an hour ago issued a statement. The statement is about the arrival of a new bishop in Eastern Arsi, in East Arsi. This new bishop has been appointed by the supplanter Oromia region-based Orthodox faction, not by main Orthodox Church, the Holy Synod. And Orthodox Church, main church, claims that this bishop has, this priest has passed instructions that from tomorrow all church workers should resume their work. But church workers, diocese workers, are not obeying orders. And tomorrow there could be tension in East Arsi. We know that 2 to 3 days ago, a meeting was held between Shimalis Abdisa, Oromia region's president, and top archbishops of the Holy Synod, Abune Abraham, Abune Petros. But no progress was made regarding Orthodox Church's desire that Oromia government should stop the activities of appointed priests and bishops. Main church calls the group illegal, but Oromia government is supporting the Orthodox faction. That is why their activities continue. We have seen Abune Barsoma, Abune, two Abunes who are from Valaga, Abune Gabriel and Abune Barsoma. We have seen that continuing their activities. They are leading church services in both East and West Valaga. And in Hararge, I think West Hararge, we saw that 2 days ago, the supplanter faction priests took control of a church. And now in Arsi, the new bishop has arrived and he is going to start his services from tomorrow. Main church is rejecting this appointment. Oromia regional government is behind the supplanter faction. And since day one, Oromia government, Oromia police are behind. So it means that behind this group, it means that there is no reconciliation on the ground in Oromia between the rival Orthodox church factions. Secondly was Tigray-Amhara border. Last year, Tigray forces had to retreat from most parts of Amhara region, including parts of southern Tigray too, after Tigray forces suffered military setbacks. But two districts of the Amhara region remained under the control of Tigray forces. The two districts are in Wag Himora zone of Amhara region. And Tsagbij and Abergale, which are part of Wag Himora, are under the control of Tigray forces. Thousands have been displaced from these two districts towards Sikota. 8 organizations have limited access to these two districts. And Amhara forces are also in those areas which Tigray claims to be part of Tigray, like Wolkayet, like Raya, southern Tigray. So Tigray forces maybe want to use this area as a bargaining chip in talks with the Amhara region. That is why no withdrawal. And secondly, if Tigray forces withdraw from these areas are strategic as well. Maybe that is why they have strategic value. Now, some Wag Himora zone officials are claiming that they talked to Ethiopian National Defense Force officers in the area. And Ethiopian National Defense Force officers in the area say that in coming few days, return of IDPs will start to these two districts which are under the control of Tigray forces, Tsagbij and Abergale. It means either Tigray forces will withdraw or Tigray forces will remain there, but IDPs will return to these two districts. Let's see. ENDF has promised that return is going to start, and reportedly some meetings have been held between 8 organizations and Wag Himora zone officials, because in case of shifting of these IDPs to the two districts, there could be need of help of 8 organizations too. Meanwhile, no IDPs are being allowed to return to Wolkayet, Humaira Sagade, Western Tigray. If you remember, a few days ago, Damak Mekonnen was in Gondar. Not Damak Mekonnen, sorry. Colonel Damak Zadu was in Gondar. He held a meeting about Wolkayet there. And back then he opposed the return of IDPs to Wolkayet. He had said that criminals and those who were not original inhabitants of the area, they were trying to return to Wolkayet. It wouldn't be allowed. So Tigrayans are not returning. They're not being allowed to return to Wolkayet. But in Wag Himora, we are hearing that according to these Wag Himora government officials, that return of IDPs could start to the two districts. Let's see, will Tigray forces withdraw from these two districts? That we'll see in coming days. And last, it was Eritrea, where a gold mine is about, operations on this gold mine are about to end because there is no gold reserves there. All gold reserves have been extracted and used. Bisha gold mine, around 150 kilometers away from Asmara is this gold mine. In 2011, Eritrea started production of low-cost gold from this gold mine. Eritrean government has 40% share. 60% share was held by a Canadian company. Nevson is the name of the company. Nivson was digging for gold here. And in 2011, production of gold and silver started. Later, copper and zinc were also found here. Now, Eritrean president says that the gold deposits have been exhausted, and the company is not sure about the quality of remaining copper reserves as well. Are they good enough for export? It's not clear. So it means that Bisha gold mine, at least to the extent of gold and copper, it's going to be closed. This company faced some lawsuits, if you remember, a few years ago. Some Eritrean activists, I think in Canada or US, filed a lawsuit against this company. The activists claimed that Eritrean government was deploying national service conscripts to work on this gold mine site, and Canadian company was part of the operations. The only question is, if all gold reserves at this mine have been used, where was the money spent? Where was the revenue generated from the production of gold from this site spent? Eritreans, Eritrean diaspora, they have right to ask this question. Governments are always accountable. They are bound to give answers. That is why they are governments. The people in power are ordinary human beings. Difference between them and those who are being governed, between the masses, is that those in power are accountable. They can be held accountable. But if people ask questions, they are labeled as traitors, as those who are working on some foreign agendas. Eritrean government should share details. How much money was generated from this site? Where was the money spent? And these Western powers who accuse Eritrea of human rights violations, you see, whenever they find an opportunity to make money, they invest in Eritrea. Where was Eritrean human rights record when a Canadian company started mining in Eritrea? Canada is obviously critical of Eritrean human rights record. When it comes to protection of interests of Canadian companies, mining companies, Canadian government is ready to ignore Eritrean human rights record. It means West uses human rights issue as a way of putting pressure upon Eritrea, because West wants its influence, its presence in Eritrea, like other African countries.